Dunkey is an idiot. Too popular and has lost any sort of credibility when it comes to reviews.
Not
How
wrong,
much
though.
did he have?
Yeah, that's correct, though.
That's
That's
actually
your
right,
own
yeah.
fault.
Yeah, this video is sort of like proof of that. Ironically, you've provided him with the evidence that he
Yeah.
needed to make this comment true.
Listen, fucko, you don't have to see eye to eye on every single game to put your trust in someone, obviously. A critic's power lies in the consistency of their voice. Right off the bat, boom! This sweeping orchestra just knocks you on your fucking ass and shoots your soul into the stratosphere. You could turn into a chain chomp, wham, go up the waterfall, turn into a fucking T-Rex. Come on! Come on, how the fuck can you not be playing this game right now? There are influences from everywhere, but to dwell on them would be a disservice to Odyssey, which is truly exciting because it's a whole new thing. Every level functions as a platforming jungle gym while also serving as a hub to smaller, more linear challenges. You have so many options of traversal. You can throw your hat and bounce off it. You can roll down hills like a fucking lunatic. You can triple jump, throw your hat, dive into it, bounce off, throw it again, dive. You can capture a hammer bro, wait for his little bounce, then big bounce, jump out of him, wall jump, dive on top. There's so much crazy shit in here, and yet Odyssey still feels like it just barely scratched the surface of what its mechanics are even capable of. Space represents infinite, boundless possibilities, but for Mario, it actually meant more limitations. Compared to 64 and Sunshine, Mario's movement in Galaxy feels far more restrictive. You can no longer dive. Instead of having a full range of motion, you can only move in 9 directions, and the stage design is far more linear. None of this sounds very fun, but it is, trust me. By reining in Mario's abilities and forcing players to engage with the levels more, the designers are able to take movement in all new creative directions. The first and most obvious are these planetoids. If you long jump off one at the right spot, you'll go flying through its orbit, and you can also get sucked into another's gravitational pull if you get close enough. The game eases you into this new way of moving Mario with a little tutorial planet, then the game just starts chucking a fucking buffet of new mechanics and launcher stars that fling you to other planets, shockwave Goomba knocker, blue grabber guys, stretcher plants, spinny vines where you spin around like that dude was spinning around the horse. You can jump into this thing and it turns into a 2D platformer with alternating gravity. That was just the first level. A lesser game would crumble under the weight of so many ideas, but Mario Galaxy nimbly glides through them like the Matrix, introducing one mechanic that leads to another, which later merges with the previous idea to create an even more exciting combination. Oh, this is a good ass game. Then you got the soundtrack. That powerful, triumphant orchestra surging so much life into these levels. Jumping on a Goomba has never felt more important than in Mario Galaxy. But just like the game itself, the music never stays in one mode for too long. In minutes, you'll go from mystical and imposing to cheery penguin party world. As Rockstar's games become more and more scripted, they're starting to make less sense as open-world games. GTA 5's Los Santos is kind of bittersweet. On the surface, it is incredibly polished and detailed, but what's disappointing is that only a fraction of this massive map is utilized in meaningful ways, and there isn't much incentive for players to actually dig into it. The meager amount of collectibles there are have been seemingly dropped in at random, the stunt jumps are ruined by this lame-ass slow-mo camera, and there is a vast abundance of blank, empty areas with nothing going on. It feels more like a backdrop to the campaign rather than a world that was meant to be thoroughly explored. The trend in gaming is make the maps bigger, make it bigger, and you end up with these big empty worlds with nothing in them. They're visually impressive, but they don't service the gameplay, they just hamper it. In Banjo-Kazooie, nothing is taken for granted. It's complete and cohesive. Everything serves a purpose. Every enemy has an exploitable weakness. Every weapon has a use, and every piece of Doom's combat puzzle falls into place. Ocarina of Time is a magnificent, towering achievement for video games. It's so unique and creative and memorable. One of the first things you do in this game is you walk into a giant tree's mouth. You enter, and the camera slowly pans down, revealing the huge interior of the Deku tree. You see that it's cluttered with webs and malicious spiders and plants. Then very slowly, the music starts to creep in, and you understand that this is a sacred place that has been dying for probably hundreds of years. This is how you establish atmosphere in a video game, and Ocarina of Time continues to do this over and over again, bringing these incredible environments to life that breathe imagination. Without checkpoints, you force players to repeat large chunks of a video game, which is not only irritating, but fatal to the overall pacing. On the other hand, saturate your game with checkpoints and you lose that anxious feeling which makes challenging games so tense. You want the game to push you to your absolute limit and force you to experiment and find out what works, and what sucks is when you find out what actually works just isn't that fun. Variety and options are sucked out of the game. You have these severe difficulty spikes that feel overlooked by the developers, and what happens is the player starts pushing back. You notice the cracks in the game's design. You abuse the AI. You learn how to stop enemies from spawning, and when you push the game to its limit, sometimes it cracks and your enjoyment is ruined.
Is it valid to consider a game of poor quality if you've not played it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially if
you
you're
don't have to play a
boycotting it.
game
Yes,
to make
absolutely.
excellent arguments against it.
And I feel like Dunkey would
Yeah.
agree too. I don't think it would
In
take
an age
much.
of streaming, you can watch someone play through the entirety of the game completely for free.
And you
And
I never
maybe
played
when
The
it comes
Last of Us
to
2.
Why is my opinion more valid than this guy's? Well, first off, I actually completed the fucking game. This dude got halfway through the game and put his review up. What the fuck? The best reviews are entirely subjective, but that doesn't mean you throw objectivity out the window. You have to build your case with honest statements that even someone who disagrees with you could relate to. Immediacy, atmosphere, variety, replayability. This is what I value in a game. Jump to 1993. Doom would set the template for million first-person shooters, maze levels with 3D environments, 2D sprites for enemies, shotgun is the best weapon, color-coded keys, health and ammo pickups, aim assist, all became FPS staples. But the thing about this old-school level design is...
How do I get into this?
Have I been up here?
Oh, I guess I've already been here.
I think I'm already been here, I don't know.
When people think about Doom or GoldenEye, they go, oh yeah, I remember that game, shooting demons, blowing shit up, and what they forget about is walking around an empty map afterwards, looking for a stupid-ass keycard for 20 minutes. So many identical hallways with dozens of doors leading to more mazes that are filled with switches that open specific doors, some of which are hidden and no waypoints. It becomes a fucking nightmare to navigate some of these levels. Jump to Call of Duty 4, one of the greatest puzzle games, which took a completely opposite approach to level design. While Doom allowed players to explore at their own pace, COD was able to effectively control its tempo with extremely linear design. Less freedom meant no more getting lost. Half-Life starts you on a long-ass train ride, which arrives around the time this guy has completed 7 levels in Doom. Halo does a neat trick where it starts you in a spaceship with a bunch of narrow corridors, and then you land on Halo. Wow, huge open areas. It's stunning how just a little change, like switching your controller, can have such a huge impact on the playability of a game, and that's what a good remaster should attempt to do. Fix all those stupid little nagging issues that older games have, because usually it's just dumb little stuff that the developers overlooked. Inside tells one of the smartest, most compelling stories in a video game without a single line of dialogue. It leaves a lot to the imagination, but is bound together by a central theme of control and conformity. The images are striking, and the world is littered with tons of little details you won't pick up on in your first time through. The mysterious narrative continues to subvert what you think you know as it ever patiently builds towards this eruptive ending. The Shining is one of cinema's most mysterious and haunting experiences. It's a film that plays so well to wild, speculative theories because it never shows its full hand. Many horror movies feature these seemingly unstoppable monsters, but then there always comes that scene where they explain what it is, why it's killing people, how do you beat it, and once they become this tangible thing, they're never as scary anymore. Though The Shining is meticulously littered with hints and clues towards the true nature of its intentions, it can never be fully explained or understood. One of the most terrifying elements of this movie is how it so realistically envelops the viewer into this scenario of domestic abuse. Wendy and Danny are snowbound in this isolated location with Jack, just as many women and children are trapped in these horrible, abusive relationships. As a spectator, of course you say, what are you doing? Get out of there. Get out. But in real life, things are never that simple. Kubrick, having been a huge fan of David Lynch's Eraserhead, employs a similar technique of a droning, ominous soundtrack filling the air with dread, never allowing the audience to breathe. The hotel seduces Jack with a relieving melody, while transforming the image of his loving family into this horrible, oppressive noise. then this fucking avant-garde nightmare orchestra starts stabbing at you with violins.
Gee, get out! What are you doing? Get out of here! Come on! Get out!
That nervous dread is what drives Whiplash and makes it so much fun. If you haven't noticed, this guy is kind of angry. Fletcher is disappointed in his pupils who don't share his level of passion for music. He's disappointed in the world itself, which worships money over artistry. And most of all, he is disappointed with the pictures that Spider-Man took. How is he going to put these in the newspaper? Even though we can sympathize with Fletcher, he is still such an arrogant, vindictive asshole that what you really want to see more than anything is for this twerpy little kid to shut this dude the fuck up.
Hey Rags, want to share your opinion
Hey.
of Avatar?
It's shit from what I've seen.
You mean the James Cameron movie?
Oh, that too.